Okay, this is Black Re-Education TV, where we're stepping back from the brink towards a more meaningful future. With our theme verse being, Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So if your ancestors were scattered via the transatlantic slave trade or the Mohammedan Arabic Islamic slave trade, then you are the children of Almighty. Sunini Nanini Samandla, the mighty one of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh yes, Black history. The study of the Bible is Black history. And so you're welcome tonight. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Share the link to everyone. And let somebody know tonight that you are connected to the show. We give him all the praise. We give him all the glory. We give him all the honor because he is due all the praise and all the honor. Oh yes, share the link and text a friend. And after the show, make sure you follow us on all the channels. It is on Telegram Live, it is YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and the recording is uploaded on Bantu. You are welcome tonight to the show. All praises to Almighty Sunini Nanini Samanda. We give him all the praise and all the glory. Waking up the Bantus from sea to sea. Black Re-Education TV. Waking up the Bantus from sea to sea. Black Re-Education TV.
Political politician no go fit to save us. Poverty all I see, but God no go shame us. People will get the power, still they use and play us. Why them up put us in chaos? I never tell you, say you never feel my pains. What is the essence why we hustle every day? I see we facing all these political problems. Why they don't put us in silence? Africa, Africa, Africa. I did a look, understand that dirty enemy playbook. I did a look, I did a look, understand that dirty enemy playbook. Rat-a-tat-tat, snake, fallen angel, fake, wheels on the bus go round and round. Free Africa from spellbounds. Egypt, Babylon, African kingdoms, Google Maps. You're a demon, Romans lie, Zimbabwe. So need the truth and the way. Africa, 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 Africa. I did a look, understand the dirty enemy playbook. I did a look, understand that dirty enemy playbook. Africa, what do you see? I see that dirty enemy fiending on me. Africa, what do you hear? Diamond, gold, oil digging everywhere. Blood vipers suck on the land. African leaders, money in the hand. African reparations due. Big payback is coming to you. Africa, 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 Africa. I did a look, understand that dirty enemy playbook. I did a look, understand that dirty enemy playbook. Political politician no go fit to save us. Poverty all I see, but God no go shame us. People will get the power, still they use and play us. Why them up put us in chaos? I never tell you, say you never feel my pains. What is the essence why we hustle every day? I see we facing all these political problems. Why they don't put us in silence? Africa, congregate. Africa, assimilate. Africa, infiltrate. Africa, dominate. You dirty enemy, that's your way. It's in your triple six DNA. You dirty enemy, that's your way. It's in your triple six DNA.
for breaking down every obstacle in the path to the redemption of his people. And we join the prophets that said, therefore the redeemed of Sunini Nanini shall return and come with singing unto Zion. That's what they said in the Bible. But we know it's Jerusalem.
In paradise, 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 in paradise. Ingefuna ukuya Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Ingefuna ukuya Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanna go to paradise, where the roads gold and the weather's nice, where the Salem ain't on fight. No moon or sun, cause you be the light, the way truth and light. So many na nene, Tata is on me, mighty one over Kobe. Out New Egypt, you gon' lead us. You the one to redeem us. You love us but don't need us. False doctrine, you gon' free us. Yeah, yeah. I can hear the shaking of the bones. All cause the one on the throne. A Kobe, yeah, we go home. So then please take us home. Eat paradise, eat paradise, yeah. Eat paradise, eat paradise, eat paradise, eat paradise, eat paradise, eat paradise. Ingefuna ukuya Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Ingefuna ukuya Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Yeah.
Greetings, greetings tonight once more in the precious name of our Father, Almighty Sunini Nanini Samandla. He is the mighty one of Abraham, the mighty one of Ibrahim, the mighty one of Isaka, the mighty one of Akobi. Welcome, welcome tonight. Welcome to the show. Sorry for this very late start, but we are going to get straight into the conversation tonight in the conclusion. And so I want to thank all those who are joining us from the Pacific Islands, Australia, New Zealand, or from the troubled Arab, Asian, and wicked European lands. And tonight, I want to thank all those who are joining from the Caribbean Islands, North and South America, even Antarctica. You are welcome here tonight as well. And for those who are joining us from the Holy Land, Al-Kebu land, Azania, the Promised Land, the land of Canaan, Sub Saharan Africa. Abraham is the brother of Haran, and Haran is the father of Sarah. And tonight, I'm going to share with you a few things that you probably already have known by now, and the fact that there is no turning back. When we put our hands to the plow, when we put our hands and we vow a vow to Sunini Nanini, the only thing that separates us from that commitment is death. And we are not afraid of that because everybody will experience this. Everybody will have this. What happens after that is interesting. And it could be concluded even before you die. If you're wicked, you're going to hell. There's no place that you're going to be in the same place of bliss. If there is bliss, you are not going to be there. You could work that out. That is easy. Last night we spoke about the very imagination of the thoughts of the Gentile is wicked continually. We spoke about that last night. That mindset comes from the connection with Lucifer. And they have no more escape. As Msindisi said, how can you escape the damnation of hell? Citizens of hell. And the terror of hell, of reigning hell on earth, is over. Sunini Nanini is establishing his righteous reign here, right on this earth that he created. And the wicked is not part of that reign. And you can understand it. It's very clear. And so tonight, I want to thank everyone for coming in the chat room. I thank you for your patience when the show runs. The start of the show runs a bit late, and sometimes when the end of the show comes a bit late as well. Thank you for your patience. But we are not going to flinch. We are not going to turn away from the stars that is set before us. We need to understand that our role is the part of our role is the dismantling of the religious part of this trap that is set up, the dismantling of this evil plot using religion to trap us. All the trappings of Europe is falling off, including the religious trappings, the economic trappings, the political and economic dependency created by European nations for African nations and for Black people in general. The bleeding of our nations through the transatlantic slave trade and even the Mohammedan Arabic Islamic slave trade, together with the continued luring of our people into captivity, voluntary captivity. This all is coming to an end now. And we give thanks and praise to Almighty Sunini Nanini. You know, as we listen to this period when Europe is celebrating the end of the war, and that's what it is, they ignore the truth of the history of that end of the war. There is no time that Europe really speak the truth. And tonight I'm talking about one young man that made his way on an invitation to Moscow to attend the celebrations from the Moscow end. And when I get to the pictures, I will talk about these pictures. But I'm never going to be surprised, never going to be surprised at the evil of the nations. France and its involvement with 15 African countries for years after the so-called independence. The DA involvement in South African Kingdom of Judah politics after the end of apartheid. Nothing has changed. All the nations did was find a new mechanism to continue the enslavement of Black people. If you want to interpret that as race, is your problem. It's not mine. But that is the reality that we see. Europe needs the resources of Africa. Human resources, they took by force and repeatedly continue to take by deceit. Physical resources, they take by force and assassinations and continued pillaging of the lands of our ancestors. And not because we find ourselves in other parts of the world means that we are ever going to be silent or silence. And so the call today is, or the topic today is, Africa is the Holy Land. And it's dawning more and more, everybody's going to wake up to this reality, that Israel has never been the Holy Land. It is just part of the lies told by Europeans. Africa is the Holy Land and has always been the Holy Land. And what you're witnessing now on the earth is what Europe never wanted to happen, hence the division of Africa into little plots. You're watching the uniting of Africa and the children of Africa. You're watching it live on television. You are part of that uniting process. And we welcome everyone that is participating in the process in any form and in every form that they're doing it. It is important for us to understand that those who are participating in this process are working with the creator of heaven and earth to fix this thing. And finally, discontinue the reign of Lucifer on earth. In the coming days and months and years, we're going to witness an intensity of this unification of the children of Akobi, the children of Issachar, and the children of Abraham. It was no different to when Sunini Nanini called. He called Abraham from his father's land in the Sahel. You didn't get to know that because you were told that Abraham came from somewhere by Iraq. You were told that his nephew and them, Laban and all of them were Syrians. That's what you read in the Bible. All part of European plot to continue to lie about this story. But right before our eyes, we're seeing an operation taking place by the creator of heaven and earth. He is dismantling the lies of European nations. And he's going to use the very nations to establish his truth in the earth. You're watching history being corrected right in front of your eyes. And the things that we were trying to say over time is now going to make sense to everyone. And everyone will know Sunini Nanini, Tatanzambi, Modimo, Mowari, Chinike, Uludamari. Everyone will know the creator long before Europe changed his name and presented a fictitious story. And some people wonder why we're using the very book that they have corrupted to tell the truth. There's no better way of defeating the enemy by using his own words. Using his own twisted words, his own twisted version of truth, and repeal it in front of his face. He has no answers because he is the evidence and the embodiment of dishonesty and lies. And so, when Ibrahim left for Moscow at the invitation of the president of Russia, he quite surely knew that it's going to be a challenge. Because France wants him dead because they were kicked out of Africa. And woe be unto any nation in Africa that still holds allegiance with France. When France is after one of your own children, and if you're after my son or my daughter, I'm never going to have you. You are my enemy. You are my enemy. Woe be unto Cote d'Ivoire and any nation that harbors France. Not French people I'm talking about. I'm talking about France. France who knows about the wickedness of its ancestors back in the day. And some of the normal French people might not even know, but they need to go and find out how their ancestors have lied to them. They need to find out why France would be hunting Ibrahim. and why the dying American empire on the president that said that he has been credited with not starting wars is secretly trying to assassinate, trying to murder a child of Africa. Every African American, every Afro-European is against your wickedness. It is one of the reasons why back in my early years, at one point I decided to leave politics because there are some vicious people in politics. They want to maintain corruption. And those of us who are from the upright land and are upright in heart will not facilitate those wickedness. And so we had to make a decision. I had to make that decision. It's whether I'm going to be in a system where death plagues you every day from your own people because of politics. And that's why tonight, my fight is not in the political arena, though I can stand there. It's on the religious, because this religious mentality that has been injected into us by European nations is for the sole purpose of our destruction and deception. Did I know that I was going to be deeply involved? But at the age of 15, somewhere around there, 15, 16, when I entered the Bible school, and I was not allowed easily to get in because of my age. They thought I was too young to enter. I didn't know that I would have been using the information from there for a purpose. But like Sunini always says, and he said it to Jeremiah, before you enter into your mother's womb, I knew you and surnamed you. He calls us from our mother's womb. We might not fully understand the calling, but the good thing that has to happen is that we should follow. We should follow the call. People are not going to understand that call. And when the call comes, or the second call, which I'll talk about, because when Abraham was called, he was called a second time, but the voice in the second call was slightly different from the voice in the first call. In the first call, it was, you need to leave this space, because heading up that space at the time of the birth of Abraham was Nimrod, head of Babylon in East Africa. And Nimrod, from the birth of Abraham, when he was told that Terah had a son, and Terah was a 5-star general. This is Abraham's father, 5-star general from Niger, where you know as Niger today, from the Sahel, a 5-star general in the army of King Nimrod, Emperor Nimrod. And he had a son. And this son grew up to be doing some strange things. But from the inception, the spirit world connect Nimrod with that child. And Nimrod wanted that child dead. So Nimrod asked Terah if he had a son that was born recently. Just imagine you're being asked that question. And you know who Nimrod is. And Nimrod is asking you if you had a son born. And Terah said, yes, I had a son born last night. Terah knew that Nimrod was going to hunt that son. And Terah had a choice whether to let Nimrod have that child or protect the child. And Terah made the choice. Grandfather Terah made that choice in the Sahel. And he was aided by his other children, his other sons. And so Terah took a child from one of his maids, because he was a king working with Nimrod, the emperor. And he gave the child of one of the maids, a male child, to Nimrod. And in front of his eyes, Nimrod slew that child. That's the nature of Nimrod. That child would have been Abram. So from his inception, from his birth, he was slated for destruction. From the time he came on the scene, in the spirit realm, the principalities and powers knew what he represented. He represented a departure from the norm. And so France didn't see Abraham coming. They didn't see him coming. He was answering a call. Which meant that he had to come to the front and would be recognized by all. And sometimes these calls are not understood by our friends and loved ones, as is the case with Abram, so is the case with Abraham. Why should he still have people in his military that wants him dead, that is prepared to work with the enemy? Such is the nature of the call. That the people surrounding you might be your very enemy. And you have to keep a watchful eye. But when Sunini calls you, he helps you to watch. And he shows you things that if others see, they might be scared to even be alive. And David had that experience. And that's why he penned the words, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Because you, Sunini Nanini, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, you are my security." That's what David was talking about. And those who have been called, you understand that. That is second nature. That is second nature. That's not the priority. The priority is walking in that calling and doing what you needed to be done. Doing what Sunini wants you to do at that time. And like I said, many people are not going to understand. In the process, you would have to abandon friends and loved ones and relatives, and exactly like Abraham had to do. And there'll be those in your family that might be saying, "Why do you want to do that? Just live a simple life." But the call by the Creator who gives life is stronger than the call to save your own life. It's easy. If Abraham steps down today, France and America will kill him, regardless. See, Gaddafi made that mistake. He thought it was going to be as normal. But Satan is unforgiving. Satan, don't forget, he knows that once you understand the call and you don't walk in that call, it is easy for your destruction to be achieved. And Sunini Nanini is doing that in our time. Many of us are called to different things for different purpose, but all will dovetail into the liberation of Black people. Some of us are not going to answer that call. Some of us will step back from the call. And some of us, our minds can be changed by friends and loved ones from the call. And that's why it was one person that was saying, he that is in a war, you don't entangle yourself with the fears of this world because you can be distracted. But this is a season where the distraction has been weighed in the balances, and we're finding that the distraction is not worth it. Sunini will save his people. Every night we come on this show and we dismantle the religious folly, and I say fakeries, that Europe has put in our path to hold us in check. As we dismantle it using the very words that they have coined, is testimony to the fact that Sunini Nanini is redeeming his people. And somebody else is working on the economic side, dismantling the economic servitude. Somebody is working on the military side, dismantling military dependence on the West. Somebody's working on the education side, dismantling the dependence on Western education, which is a form of enslavement. I can talk extensively on that, but wouldn't do that tonight. So there are people working in every different sector, bringing about the one aim, the redemption of the children of Okobi from European nations. These are not the children of Israel. That's a part of the decoy. These are the children of Sunini Nanini who were taken by force by European nations off the continent, the Holy Land. Then the land was renamed the Dark Continent, occupied by children of Ham. And now we know that we are not children of Ham. We're children of Sunini Nanini via Adam, via Noah, who lived in West Africa, via Shem, via Japheth, who lived in East Africa. And so the very thing that was written to remind us of who our ancestors were twisted by European nations to disconnect us from who our ancestors are. Let me share some of the headlines with you before I read some scriptures tonight. And some of what I want us to look at or to share with you tonight is the headlines that are beginning to hit this world in which we live. You see, these headlines is what they will call the alternative media allows us to have a glimpse of. See, they might resort one day of shutting down what they call the alternative media, because the real media don't talk this story. He touches down. He touches down. I'm seeing more than I'm supposed to see. He touches down in Russia, right? The circumstances we'll talk about in a little while. And there's so much sensationalization in some of these headings, which some of them I will not read. They're not what I want to talk about. Why are the headlines reading this way? This changes everything. Russia, China, and North Korea defends African leader. Panic in Israel. Jerusalem burns, thousands flee. What is happening on the earth? Ibrahim Traore surprised the world in Moscow. Why should it be a surprise that the president of Burkina Faso arrives in Russia? What is the obsession here? Port Sudan under fire. Beijing under fire. Trump thanked for ceasefire. UK, US, and allies calling Putin out over Ukraine. While these same people trying to kill Ibrahim. The new Pope seemed to be saying things. The Houthis continue the bombing. Why some African leaders are jealous of Ibrahim? Maybe they lack the strength to be the way he is, whether they be in the diaspora or on the continent. The youth in Ivory Coast now understand why they need to get rid of their leaders. And it continues, whether it be Jerusalem or Jerusalem, it seemed to be on fire. Ivory Coast is interesting. The youths now are calling for the removal of the president. There's an awakening. And the fact that America and France wants to stop that awakening should speak volumes to the world. Why? Why do they want to stop the awakening? And why the awakening in Africa? What has it got to do with America and France and Europe? You see, France and Europe and America are what they are today because of the wealth of Africa. And so, when Ibrahim answered the call to step in the shoes of Thomas Sankara, and generational, in the shoes of his great ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Europe knew that the change has come. Europe understood that the status quo cannot remain the same anymore. And so it reaches out to the enslaved minds, like the leader of the Ivory Coast and Nigeria and others, to galvanize their support to keep Africa poor so that Europe could be rich. That was the original intention of Europe, all the while, with everything that it had set up, including the religions. If you read in the book of Galatians chapter 3 verse 14, it will tell you that the wealth of Africa, the children of Abraham, the wealth of Africa should be transported or transferred to the Gentiles through Jesus. Jesus was the vehicle for that purpose. The theory of Jesus was created for the purpose of harnessing and using the wealth of Africa for Europeans. That's what Christianity really is. Every pope is sworn to the same mission. Every European head of state is familiar with that process. Every head of America, the last European empire, is familiar with that process. Every king in Europe supports that process. We were the only people thinking that we need America. We need Europe. We need everybody else. We didn't understand at the low level that that was the process of enslavement. I remember that the writings of Dr. Walter Rodney, Guyanese, who wrote How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. It was Europe that destroyed Africa. And it started out with the popes. And then they created the slave mind of African leaders. And so they don't need to come to the continent physically as before. These leaders will facilitate. And that's why you don't hear their voices standing up with Tory. That's why you never hear the voices standing up with Magafuli. You never hear those voices because they're still working for the fallen and falling empires. They all probably got houses in Europe. And so the struggle to change the status quo is the call to which the children of Akobi must answer. You know that there is a call on your life. You know the purpose of that call. And you need to fulfill that call. You don't want to leave here and not fulfill that call. Ours is the exposition of the religious realm. And boy, I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. Let's see some more headlines. UK government dramatic change in stand on Israel. They're now seeing the apartheid, and they now know that they're complicit because they give weapons and parts to facilitate the genocide of the people of Gaza, the Palestinians. You can't escape that. If there's a genocide going on and you send support for those who committing the genocide, you are part of that genocide. You're part of a common process, joint enterprise. America is joined with Israel in the same process. Some of the headlines I'm not going to talk about. There's a new heading here. Trump attacked by the new Pope. Ivory Coast leader attacked by angry youth in France. Here's where we come in. King Solomon tomb opened after 5,000 years. And why are only white people opening up this tomb? Why are they sitting around the tomb there, if that was the tomb? So you have all of this thing happening in our world today. And so many voices are vying for your ears. This is the one that is interesting. World leaders in Moscow. Abraham Toure saved by Putin. How American fighter jets were forced. Let me read the whole heading. How American fighter jets were forced to back down. American fighter jets forced to back down? Did American fighter jets try to intercept the plane that was taking Ibrahim Toure? Was that a possibility? In the day that we're celebrating the end of the war, with France and America sent fighter jets into the air? Is that possible? Is that what the headline is saying? You understand the nature of this battle. Why is America and Europe under France once Ibrahim dead? Has he killed any French people? Has he done so? Has he invaded France? Has he invaded America? Is he not living in his own country? Is he not free to travel? Did they arrest war criminals? What crime has he committed? The crime he has committed is liberating his people from European powers who have harnessed the resources and the wealth of African countries from the days of old to present. And African leaders continue to facilitate this wickedness and hold the people as though time has frozen since the days of Abraham. You go to the villages and as it were, time froze. No real independence, no real freedom, and they want to keep it like that. So the prince of the power of the air, I was speaking about the night before. I am aware of this today, but I was speaking about that. The prince of the power of the air is against what Sunini Nanini is doing, and it's manifesting itself through European nations. That speaks volumes. They have made themselves conduits for the prince of darkness. So they went up into the air to force his jet to land. Why do they want him so badly? Do they think? Does the children of Lucifer think that it can change what the Creator is doing? Do they not know that Sunini Nanini knew that he was going to be in that jet? So they want to fight with Sunini Nanini and his attempt to level up this world where the resources of Africa, physical, intellectual, should be used for their development. And that's why I play that song as often as I can. It's going to take more than prayers. But prayers are a good start. And worship is good because in the supernatural realm, when we worship, Sunini Nanini, the Creator, comes and inhabits and dwells in the praises of his people. There is nothing that Europe could do to stop this that has happened. If they think it is a man, they've made a mistake. It's even bigger than a system. This is the Creator himself that these children want to fight with. This was what the Boers did when they came into the kingdom of Judah and Jerusalem in 1652. They came there to take over the Holy Land. Today, you don't even know that that's the Holy Land. You're now waking up to that reality because you were told by the children of the Boers that is in the land of Israel, in the Levant. Nonsense. Woe unto African leaders who facilitate European leaders. Woe unto the leadership in Ivory Coast. Woe unto the leaders in Kenya that facilitate European powers. Woe unto the leaders in Rwanda that facilitate European powers. Woe unto the leaders in the Congo that facilitate European powers. Woe unto the leaders of South Africa that facilitate European powers. May Sonini Nanini, the creator of heaven and earth, continue to dismantle European powers in full view of all the world. There is the internet. There is the television. You're watching the dismantling of an evil system. You're not hearing black leaders, African leaders speaking up. Very few. If you consider 54 countries that Europe made in Africa, and we can count on our hands, one hand maybe, those who got the vision and answered the call. But we don't care. Sonini is doing this thing, and he will finish what he's doing. He will recompense you upon your own heads. The destruction of your lands will be as a result of what you have done to the chosen children. Now that you know them, you know that they're not the children of Israel. They're not the Hebrew Israelites. Now you know them. When Putin brought out Black Jesus from his closet, I know the thoughts he might have had in his mind was to send a message to black people to let them know that Europe lied. That Europe lied. Europeans were angry when Putin did that. But he was sending something that is more powerful than a bomb, than an atomic weapon. He was sending a message, and I hope we all heard that message loud and clear. That the information that we got concerning Jesus and the religions was made up by Europe. And they lied about the information. I mean, some of us took things differently. The judgment has begun. The judgment of the nations have begun in front of our eyes. And my prayer is that I hope we are seeing it. Ruto attack with a shoe. Tension rise in Kenya. This is what's going to happen. All the pockets where European powers are able to access the leadership in those countries to bring about destruction to their own people, to facilitate Europe's development and the demise of Africa, the children are going to rise up. It was Kenya that killed young people for asking for a better life. It was Kenya that did that. It was in the Bight of Benin that France and Britain parked warships a couple of months ago to intimidate and bully the children of Africa. Now they're
send fighter jets into the air. They want to claim the air, the prince of the power of the air. They want to claim the airspace up until the Russian jets appeared in the skies. It tells us that the nation will not stop at anything. The survival of Europe is dependent on the poverty of Africa. The survival of the Europe of England is dependent on the poverty of the Commonwealth countries. What are you going to do? Let me take you briefly to the scriptures. When Abraham was called from the Sahel, layers of history ago, his father, Terah, sought to interrupt the process. Or maybe he has made up his mind that he was going to stop working for Nimrod. And so Abraham was called a second time. And some of us, we have had our second call. We've had our second call. When Ibrahim took power from the one that took power before him, when he stood there, he knew that the call was on him. Because the man that came before him still didn't do right. And sometimes we are fortunate to get a second call. And when that call comes, let's answer that call. Genesis 12:1. Now Sunini had said, past tense, he had done it before, had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country. Now the word get is a word that speaks of urgency. Now, I told you before, he had said unto Abram, you need to leave this country and I will show you a country. Get away from here. So the second call came. You see, after Abraham destroyed the gods of his father Terah, which were the same gods that Nimrod had, and there's the same gods that are manifested in West Africa and some parts of East Africa, and all the continent where there is a shrine in every home, that was what Abraham was subjected to by his father Terah. Nimrod refused to worship Sunini, and so he accrued many idols. So Terah had to pay homage to the very idols of his master Nimrod, whose name was also Amraphel. So Sunini came to him again. Now Sunini had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country. Where is his country? And from thy kindred. Who are his kindred? And from your father's house. So you know that he's in the vicinity of Burkina Faso. So it wasn't by mistake Thomas Sankara changed the name to Burkina Faso from Upper Volta. Unto a land I will show you. I have a system. If you are prepared to follow my system, I will give you land. And when I give you that land, you can pass that land on to your children. And I will make of thee a great nation. I am going to establish you. This is the call that Ibrahim is answering. He might not recognize it in this manner, but this is the same call that came a second time. I will make thee a great nation. And that nation is not confined to Burkina Faso, it's the whole of the continent. And I will bookend them or increase thee and make your name great. And you are going to be a distributor of the riches that I will give you. And I will increase them that increase you or support you. And you're seeing it happening now. North Korea, Russia, China, all that support you, I will increase them. And I will curse them or him that curse you. So those two jets that came, or the jets that came from France and from America that intercepted Ibrahim's plane, is under the curse. Is under a curse. Is under the curse. And when you're cursed by Sonini Nanini, you can't get out from under there. America, by its actions, have continuously made itself a curse. When you support genocide, when you assassinate leaders, we came, we saw, he died. When you support this wickedness, you are under the curse. And France is under the curse. And Europe is under the curse because they're all doing the same things. Imagine Nigeria, with the oil that it has more blackout than any country in Europe. Nigeria, under that president. The nations are under a curse. And so Sunini says to Abraham, and in thee shall all families of the earth receive sustenance. It has to be like that. He has made the continent, Sunini Nanini, has made the continent the custodians. Africa, the custodian of the wealth or riches of the earth. And that riches cannot be taken in the way that France wants to do it or America wants to do it. It has to be on the terms of the people of the continent. And they must benefit from it. Their children must live at the same level. It should not be receiving aid. Here the scripture is saying it will give donations to other nations. So Abraham departed, as Sunini Nanini had spoken unto him, and this was the second time. And Lot went with him, and Abraham was 75 years old. And there was a young age when he departed from Africa, from the Sahel. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all the substance that they had gathered and and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. You see, this conversation here precedes the conversation in chapter 11, where Terah died. A complete severing of his kindred, his father's house. Terah died in the land of Haran, in Ur of the Chaldees, or Mesopotamia, or West Africa, same place. Because you see, Terah was tagging along with Abraham, but the visions were different. That's why Abraham spent time in Haran's land, because Terah was with him. And Terah said, wait, there's no hurry, there's no rush. Just let's wait. That's the voice you're hearing from President of Kenya and the others. Oh, let's wait. Don't rush it. Let's work with the Europeans. So Terah died. I'm sending a message to those European leaders who still want to think that Europe has its best interest at heart. Terah died. And following the death of Terah, Sunini made a call again to Abraham and said, I told you, get out from here, out of your country, out of your kindred, from your father's house, and I will show you. And so the intention of Sunini Nanini is the same intentions he has for the continent today. And Europe must understand that whether it's Abraham today, it's going to be somebody else tomorrow. It's never going to end. It is time for the continent to be free. Sunini has made that declaration, and he is calling his people to answer that call. And as the call is being answered, there will be opposition to the call. So we know the enemy, and the enemy must now leave the land. Any country in Africa that continues to hear this prophecy tonight, any country in Africa that continues to harbor American bases, you will fall. You will have confusion in your land very soon. Any country. If you continue to harbor American bases, European bases in your country, you will have confusion shortly. And you will be the cause of that confusion. May your people rise up and ask for you to exit. And so here we are. Years after, layers of history after, finally, Africa is being freed, is being redeemed by Sunini Nanini. And he uses his children that are willing to bring about that freedom. And it is time that the children of Africa, whether you are in the diaspora, remember how you got there and remember who put you there. That's your enemy. That's your real enemy. Whether he gives you USAID aid or wherever he's giving you now, or whatever he's giving through his foreign office, is to keep you there as you are, in poverty. Your people never having enough. Your state of dependency is worse than I can't describe it. And they continue to harvest your resources. But your freedom has arrived. Abraham is bigger than a person. He's bigger than a country. He's bigger than a continent. It is Sunini Nanini breaking the chains off the necks of the children of Okobi, finally setting them free to be what they need to be. And you could rest assured, nations, we will not be oppressive force. We're never going to oppress anyone. By nature, we can't. And this message will make sense one day. When we all get back to Africa, what a day of rejoicing that will be. Do I think that everybody will return? No. There are those who will ignore the call, will not make arrangements to answer that call. That's why I said that. When the children left Egypt, they had to bury many of their brothers and sisters who refused, and did everything in opposition to that mission. Be not like those. Hallelujah. And with that being said, I want to thank everyone tonight in concluding on this topic that no power formed against the children of Okobi can stand. If you succeed, it's because Sunini let you. But I tell you this time the long time, this time the been before time, he's not letting you anymore. You are coming down. Your wickedness has reached so high that it cannot be ignored anymore. And you have demonstrated just recently that you are not capable. You should never be in Africa. And I urge all African leaders to do what is needful. And you know what is needful. Children of the diaspora, be not afraid. Be not afraid. Sunini has got your back. And that being said, continue to unite. It is just the beginning. Sunini is walking you through this process. And you will know at the end of this process that you have not been redeemed with corruptible things such as silver and gold, but by the word of Sunini Nanini. Not by blood, but by the word of Sunini Nanini. And with that, I want to thank everyone for coming in the chat room once more. May the Most High, Almighty Sunini Nanini Samandla, the mighty one of Abraham, the mighty one of Issachar, and the mighty one of Akobi continue to watch over Bantu as we continue to experience his glorious redemption. And it is glorious. Thank you and good night.
Dismantling education, TV, waking up the Bantus from sleep. Dismantling education.
Okay, this is Black Re-Education TV, where we're stepping back from the brink towards a more meaningful future. With our theme verse being, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." So if your ancestors were scattered via the transatlantic slave trade or the Mohammedan Arabic Islamic slave trade, then you are the children of Almighty Sunini Nanini Samandla, the mighty one of Abraham, Issachar, and Akobi. Oh yes, Black history, the study of the Bible is Black history. And so you're welcome tonight. Welcome to the show. Welcome. Share the link to everyone. And let somebody know tonight that you are connected to the show. We give him all the praise. We give him all the glory. We give him all the honor because he is due all the praise and all the honor. Oh yes, share the link and text a friend. And after the show, make sure you follow us on all the channels. It is on Telegram Live, it is YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and the recording is uploaded on Bantu. You are welcome tonight to the show. All praises to Almighty Sunini Nanini Samandla. We give him all the praise and all the glory.
TV, waking up the Bantus from sleep. Dismantling education. TV, waking up the Bantus from sleep. Dismantling education. TV.